Hi, my flash fiction story, Alcoholic Abandonment, the Sorry Soul Chronicles 1, is finally out. Let's talk about what I'm doing as flash fiction. I might have the wrong term, I'm just going to go with it. So, as I understand, flash fiction is basically like a short story. Typically, when you have a short story, you get like a collection of them, publish them as a book. Flash fiction is when you only publish one short story. That's what this is. Over time, I hope to do more. There's not really a scheduled set, like, it's like my books is once a season. So it'll be like one for spring, one for summer, one for winter, all that. There's not really going to be a time on this. It's just kind of I write them as I write them. This season has two, or this month has two. Alcoholic Abandonment being the topic of this video. Each flash fiction is going to be built on a different thing. Right now I only have two types that I'm doing. It might be more as I go. And the two types I'm doing is character building and world building. World building is when you're doing your own separate world that's not attached to any books. That's what that series is for. Maybe there'll be series within that, but they're kind of confined to their own thing, and maybe they'll get a book. I don't know. I don't restrain myself, but it's not going to be anything really more than that, at least, unless something really good comes across. The other one, character building, is where I'll take individual characters or events within a book, and then they will get their own like short stories explaining them or exploring them. There is a possibility for one character to have more than one short story. Just putting that out there. So with that understanding, Alcoholic Abandonment. We follow Greg from A Poem for a Sorry Soul. The Sorry Soul Chronicles all take place within the Sorry Soul universe. Each of my books I've decided to have like a world, and those worlds are built upon in each single one. So this is the Sorry Soul universe. The other universe that's being expanded upon is Omniscient. The book comes out this month, Face to Face with the Reaper, and next month, Face to Face with God. And that's basically it for now, but all of these books have their own world. They might not get sequels, but they might get flash fiction. It really depends on what I feel and what I think is justified. But Alcoholic Abandonment follows Greg Hoff, if I remember. And Greg Hoff is the father of Liam. This story takes place way before the events of A Poem for a Sorry Soul, way before Greg even becomes an abuser. And the main point of this is I think a lot of people, because A Poem for a Sorry Soul was very, very, I thought it'd be controversial, but it didn't become popular enough to. A Poem for a Sorry Soul talked about a lot of heavy themes. You're talking suicide, you're talking probably self-harm in there, I wouldn't be surprised. Mental health, abuse, familial abuse, domestic abuse, mental hospitals, like all of these dark themes, which lead to the end, Liam committing the incident, which I'm not saying the name of because I already am testing YouTube's policy limits with what I'm saying. So A Poem for a Sorry Soul was very grotesque. It was brooding. It was moody. It was actually the first manuscript I ever wrote, 2025 at least. So Alcoholic Abandonment seeks to kind of look at Greg, the father. Less Liam. Liam's storyline's done. I doubt I'm going to make anything else on him. He just doesn't have anything else that needs to be built upon. He has this one story. I don't see why there's a reason to build on it. Don't fix what's not broken. Greg, maybe it is broken, but in my opinion, it's not. Greg is the abuser. He's an alcoholic father, and I wanted to kind of show where he came from. And it's shown in a sequel I wrote. Should be coming out in fall. I'm not going to say anything more on that. Greg himself went through a lot of shit. Probably, arguably worse than Liam. Arguably. You could argue that. I'm not going to say what I believe on that, but you could argue that. Greg has an abusive father, alcoholic. His mother left him, and he's kind of feels forgotten by the world. Nobody cares. He's trapped in this, the whole story takes place in his father's house, which is like a cabin, log cabin kind of thing. That's always how I pictured it, so I kind of brought it to life. But all of this takes place in a log cabin. And the short story isn't very long. I think like 10 to 20 pages. But he kind of recalls going through... He goes through his day on like a Saturday. And he talks about everything and the abuse and all of this. And if you read, it's very violent how he talks about it. It's not like outwardly like, I'm going to stab you. But it is very, very violent. He talks in a very mature but cold... I almost would say like a concrete knife scraping across your skin. That's the way he writes it, the way he talks in this book. So the entire time he goes through it. And later, which is a multiple time occurrence. I mean, he says there's always been rotten food. And it's just a matter of how much mold is on it before it's edible. The abuse he's going through, the constant beatings, the mental abuse, the fact that he just feels the world doesn't care and that he's so numb inside that he just doesn't feel anything anymore. He goes to the fridge. Mind you, this isn't the first time this has happened. First time he goes and takes a step he does in the story, but he goes to the fridge and there's a case of beer. I kind of pictured it, not throwing shade at this brand, but it was the one I pictured when writing this. I think I even wrote the name in, sorry, but a like 30 pack of Busch, like just kind of like lodged against the fridge. And keep in mind, I would imagine, I don't know if his age is said, but I pictured him like 8 to 10, so he's not really strong enough to move this. This is just there. And he has had to move it before. So usually what happens is he moves it and grabs something to eat. Keep in mind, his father's sleeping. I forget what the exact description is, but he's asleep. Like, he's lodged over. He looks like a swollen toad, is the way I think I described it. He's blacked out, drunk, sleeping. He's done. And as Greg walks up to this fridge, he steps back for a minute. And this is a typical occurrence. He thinks about it. He thinks about what would happen if he took that can. This time he does. He takes it and he gets drunk. And that's where the story ends. Now let's talk about why. A lot of times with addiction in particular, even someone who's gone through many different types in my life, not like big ones, but some notable ones that have become a plague on society. I'm relatively clean now. Some of the ones we have seen now, it doesn't just like happen, you know. Someone isn't walking around the street and it's like, I'm going to do coke today. It's usually a lot more to that. And as we could see, even before Greg does this, we don't know that he's going to do this, but he does this. As Greg is about to do this, he's been through so much. He just snaps. If someone feels they have no way out, no opportunity, this is a point I've made while talking at Lockport Common Council and wanting to do more for the community in that end. When someone feels they don't have a way out, they stop playing by moral rules. Why? Why would they play by morality? If there's no way out by playing by the rules and doing what's right, why care? Which you can expand upon that further and say, okay, well, how come the people who dictate the moral rules are doing immoral things themselves? But that's a separate theme and argument we can make at some point. I'll probably write on that. I probably have. But Greg and a lot of addicts, I believe, even in my own experience, kind of look at it as like, I have no way out. Why does it matter? If my life never matters and doesn't matter to anyone else, why not take this dive? Why not? Maybe I'll feel better in the end. You don't do it. Don't. But maybe I'll feel better in the end. That's the thought process. It's that urge for escape, which I think all of us humans have to some level of degree. So Greg is looking at this box and this case of beer, and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to take it. What's the point? I mean, he already feels like it's worthless. The world doesn't care. Why not? So when he takes that can, it's a symbolism of him turning for the worse. It's him deciding to go down his father's route, whether he realizes or not, because there's nothing left for him. I mean, he already doesn't want to be alive. Why not just get drunk and forget everything? The ultimate numbness in his eyes. And a lot of addicts feel that way. And they don't realize, maybe they do, maybe they know, but they stop caring, because there's kind of an apathy that builds up over time. But a lot of addicts realize that it doesn't really matter, so if it makes me worse, it makes me worse. And that's what happens to Greg. Greg becomes what he is in A Poem for a Sorry Soul. Not immediately after this. There's probably going to be more short stories as I go. And there'll be more in that world. I have a lot of plans with different characters. Thinking about writing a lesbian romance short story. Keep you in tune for that. Maybe Pride Month. Maybe. No promises, but maybe Pride Month. But his turn here is basically showing how he starts going down that road. It's that ultimate emptiness inside, that ultimate abuse and violence that he feels that's starting to grow for himself, that he just says fuck it and takes it, because what's left? If no one cares, why not? It's a really sad state, and I think the best thing we can do, even with stories like this, I hear a lot of people saying people shouldn't write stories like this. People shouldn't write stories like A Poem for a Sorry Soul, or stories, or even LGBTQ stories. We have to tell these. Feel how you feel, but we need to help these people. We need to bring awareness to this. It doesn't mean we do what the horror industry is doing. I know that sounds hypocritical as a horror writer myself, but a lot of the horror industry just kind of takes a topic and then it just like boils it down and makes it entertaining. That's not my goal when I write. I want to show you I want you to be uncomfortable. With a story like this, I want you to feel uncomfortable. I want you to walk away somewhat traumatized. I'm not going to lie to you. I'd rather tell you the truth. But I want you to feel something so you can take that feeling and be like, okay, we need to make a difference on this. It's raising awareness, not through shock value like PETA, but showing the actual reality and giving you that feeling, that viscera, that way that it makes even the person feel. And that's the truth of it. Greg didn't become an abuser overnight. No one does. There's not a single person. They are enabled, whether it's something like Greg or society's power struggles, society's power, the fact that they realize they can get away with anything. Once you can enable that behavior, we are nothing. Even as humans, we kind of see ourselves as some sort of civil being. We aren't. We are very primal animals, regardless of how we see it or not. That doesn't mean good or bad. We just are. We can't really face that. I'm a primal animal just as much as everyone else. There's no difference here. So for Greg, it's that primal urge to escape his situation that leads him to this. It's not an escape, but it feels like it. And even with addicts or with ourselves in society, we feel this need to fill this hole inside, whether it be from abuse, whether it be from breakups, with just something, whether it be something extreme as ending your own life or something as detrimental as becoming an alcoholic, doing meth. We feel that need to escape, but in my opinion, which Greg doesn't do, but I feel like a lot of addicts eventually do, whether they go through addiction or actually avoid the entire addiction and go do this, it's facing yourself. It's being honest with yourself. So this is more of the warning tale and showing what can lead someone to starting to do that. As I go through this and hopefully do more, I hope to show what can happen when you go down this path. As simple as that. Thank you guys. I hope I didn't rant too much. I hope I did this well. Thank you. Peace.
Go buy it. Go buy it. It has a CD. It has an audiobook. I did that. Go buy it. Link keys down below. Link keys down below.
I'm being pulled by. Bye.